like to today is just it was the story of the Shaila and on Chol Moed. Some people wear tefillin, some people don't wear tefillin. So I started going to different aspects of Hilchos Tefillin, which are very negayah. But I'll start with the Chol Moed one. The minhag in the shul basically here is not to wear tefillin. That's what it seems to me, right? And I can see where that comes from. And the Lord Halacha says like this. Hilchos Tefillin. So we know on Shabbos we don't wear tefillin, and on Yom Tov we don't wear tefillin, because Shabbos is called an ice, icy b'inu. So you don't need another ice. You only need two. You don't need a third one. The bris is an ice. So you don't need. Once you have Shabbos, you don't need the tefillin. Shabbos allows them on tefillin, and Yom Tov also. So it says over here, b'Shabbos v'Yom Tov asur l'haniach tefillin. The shehem atzmam ice. So it's interesting, the language here. It's asur to wear tefillin, even says, but Shabbos and Yom Tov. And it's a question if it's why is it asur? Maybe there's no reason to wear tefillin, but why is it asur? But okay, it says asur l'haniach tefillin meshem atzmam ice, v'menicham b'hem ice achar hayazulzul la'osh l'hem. It sort of takes away from the Shabbos. That's Shabbos and Yom Tov. Wearing tefillin.
Chol Moed.
Oh, so what's with Chol Moed? So the next halacha says like this. And this is the Mechaber and Shulchan Aruch. But Chol Moed, gam kein asur l'haniach tefillin, mitam hazeh ba'atzmo shemei Chol Moed gam kein ice. Chol Moed is also part of Yom Tov. It's also an ice. So the Mechaber and Shulchan Aruch says Chol Moed is also asur to wear tefillin. Ramah says Hagav Yesham Chol Moed chayiv b'tefillin. He says in Shem Rosh, V'chei noigen b'chol galilos elu. And all Ashkenaz they wear tefillin. So the Sephardim don't wear tefillin Chol Moed, that's clear. And Ashkenazim, the Ramah says, they all wear tefillin. V'chol galilos elu, v'nichim b'moed u'levarech aleim, v'lashem mevarchim aleim b'kol ram, b'es ha'knesses k'mashayim ha'sashana. You don't make such a loud bracha. Every day you're supposed to make a loud bracha. But Chol Moed, you don't make such a loud bracha. It's a little more betzina, but you put it on. So and it's a huge machlekes v'shainim. It goes back. You just take it off before Hal. You take off the tefillin before Hal. So let's say Hal, you say that without tefillin. So that you wear tefillin before Hal, you take it off before Hal. Okay. Now the Mishabura brings down on this that the Achroinim eskimu, the Achroinim are maskim, he says, to the Taz that says it's better to put it on without a bracha. Because the bracha is not mark of tefillin, and since it's machlekes v'shainim, maybe you should put it on without a bracha. And he says, b'flat shehagra kasav she'en ladas yisay yesham ikar b'shas. So what happened was like this, that in all Ashkenaz they always wore tefillin. That was the Psak and Rosh, and it's a whole sugya in the v'shainim. But the Vilna Gaon came along and said that he doesn't hold like the Ramah, he holds like the Mechaber, and he says Das Yeshayim doesn't have an Ikar v'Shoyvish in the Sugis HaGemara. I don't know if you have a history in the Vilna Gaon, but the Vilna Gaon was one of the greatest Gaonim to ever live after the time of the Rishonim. And he said he's also the reason why most Bnei Ashkenaz don't wear tefillin Rabbeinu Tam, right? The Hasidim put on tefillin Rabbeinu Tam. The regular Litvish people don't wear tefillin Rabbeinu Tam. Even though in Shulchan Aruch, the Sephardim wear it because Shulchan Aruch says, well, it's machlekes, so you should put it on after Dam. And the Gaon said he prepared when he comes upstairs after 120 years a 3-day shtickle Torah to argue with the Rabbeinu Tam to prove him wrong. They say, why will it take him 3 days? I mean, how many Gemaras are there to argue about? So because when you put on tefillin, you say Eri l'shem yuchad, you say Kol ha-mitzvahs hatluyim ba, right? Every mitzvah is connected to all the other mitzvahs. So if you're going to say the mitzvah tefillin is changed like this and not like that, you have to go through all the 613 mitzvahs and see how they connect to that mitzvah, if you know the hidden secrets behind the mitzvah. So that takes 3 days.
How can it only take 3 days?
Yeah. So the Gaon kind of that there's no Indian to wear tefillin Chol Moed. Okay, you shouldn't. And therefore, those that are knowing like the Gra don't wear tefillin Chol Moed. Now, to top that all off, the Baal Shem Tov, the Hasidim, also held not to wear tefillin Chol Moed. So we have a rule: when the Goyin and the Baal Shem Tov get together, basically that takes over the minig of Klal Yisrael. So therefore, in Eretz Yisrael, where the Ashkenazim basically took upon, there was the Talmidei of the Baal Shem Tov that came, and the Talmidei of the Goyin that came to Eretz Yisrael. They were the first settlers in Eretz Yisrael, besides the Sfardim. They were the first settlers. The Ashkenazic settlers were the Talmidei Goyin and the Talmidei Baal Shem Tov. They traveled up to Eretz Yisrael. And they both didn't wear tefillin on Chol Moed, so therefore the minig in Eretz Yisrael is not to wear tefillin on Chol Moed. But the minig in Chutz La'aretz in most places is to wear tefillin on Chol Moed, because the Bnei Ashkenaz, like the Ramah says, always wore tefillin on Chol Moed. So what happens now? So it's a very interesting tshuva for Moshe Feinstein, and he says the shaila was that someone is davening in a shul where they put on tefillin, and he doesn't put on tefillin. So the Mishnah Berurah says like this. It says, "Oid kosu achronim, the ein nochen." It's not proper that in one base HaKnesses some people should put on tefillin, some people shouldn't put on tefillin. It's not proper. A mixed minyan. Mishum loisis goydedu. Now, loisis goydedu is a big circle. When do we say this? When don't we say this? But the loisis goydedu means you shouldn't make different groups. There should be one group. There shouldn't be this guy's doing one thing, this guy doing another thing. So, as loisis goydedu, he says it shouldn't be in one minyan, one base HaKnesses. Actually, it says in one shul. That some people are putting on tefillin, some people aren't putting on tefillin. And he ends off to Mishnah Berurah, someone who doesn't put on tefillin Chol Moed, that davens in the base of Medrash, that they put on tefillin, he should also put on tefillin without a bracha, because he should do what the tzibah does. So that's what the Mishnah Berurah says. So Moshe is medayik the lashon of the Mishnah Berurah. He says it's not proper that in one minyan they should do both, because lois is going to do. You know, somebody asked me a shayla on Yom Tov. So somebody asked me a shayla on Yom Tov when it was his first day, I think first day Shmini Atzeres, whether he could go to the Chutz La'aretz, the Eretz Yisrael minyan. So I said that in Chutz La'aretz they never made Eretz Yisrael minyan. So shayla was just going to do to go make Eretz Yisrael minyan. In Eretz Yisrael they have Chutz La'aretz minyan. You know why? Because before Eretz Yisrael was completely settled, people were traveling there and back all the time. So even in the times of Beis Yosef, they bring these tshuvas back and forth, whether they're allowed to have a Chutz La'aretz minyan in Eretz Yisrael. The Maisa, the minhag was from way back then to have a Chutz La'aretz minyan. So if you have a separate minyan in a separate place, so that's like a separate shul. And since it was always a minhag to have such a thing, so therefore you can have a Chutz La'aretz minyan. Now some people argue on it. Some will say you can't have a Chutz La'aretz minyan in Eretz Yisrael. I was waiting for David Salvation, and he would yell at us, we're going to Chutz La'aretz minyan. Baruch would make a Chutz La'aretz minyan, he wasn't happy.
Then what are you supposed to do?
Daven yourself, you know?
Yeah.
You don't hear the laning, so you don't hear the laning. What are you going to do? Let's square it. So, the Chutz La'aretz, but Maisa, the minhag was way back from then, because it was always, it's like Shnei Batei Dinim K'vom Be'el. We'll talk about this. You have two Batei Dinim in the city. Let's say you have a Sephardish shul and an Ashkenaz shul. Let's say a Sephardi moves to Toronto. Why could he do Sephardi minhagim? Most people are Ashkenaz. The Teretz is because there's a Sephardi kehillah. There's a kehillah, Sephardi kehillah. So therefore, once there's two Batei Dinim be'er, so then you're allowed to do like the other minhag, because in the city there's two Batei Dinim. That's the general rule. So
even if you're davening at the other one, like if the Sephardi comes.
Even if you're davening at the other one, yeah, we're going to get to that. Yeah, even if you're davening at the other one, you're allowed to. Now, there could be not but for Hesya, there's little shilas. So this is what Moshe says. What Moshe says, that he's bedayik the lashon. He says, ein nochain. It's not proper that in one basic Knesset some people should put on tefillin, some people shouldn't. What's ein nochain? Also, in one basic Knesset to have to have tefillin and no tefillin. What's this ein nochain business? So he says it must be it's not a real lav of lois this guy to do. Why? Because it's like two Batei Dinim K'vom Be'er. It's two minhagim here. There's a minhag to wear tefillin, and it's not wear tefillin, and it's accepted in Gans Klal Yisrael that there's two minhagim. Some people wear, some people don't wear. So once you have two minhagim, there's no Issa Lois Skoy to do anymore. Because once you have Beis, two Batei Dinim Kvuim Be'er, so you're allowed to do your minhag, even though other people have a different minhag. So therefore there's no Issa Lois Skoy to do. It's just not nochen, it's not proper. Every Beis HaKnesset should have its own flavor, you know. I think he has a tshuva somewhere, because I was davening in a minyan. I didn't look up the tshuva, but I was davening in a minyan. There was a bris on Chol Moed I went to, and in that minyan, whoever gets the yom davens his nusach. You went to that minyan ever? By Rabbi Mordechai Scheiner over here. Whoever gets the yom, so it was a Sephardi guy got the yom. So I was wondering if I said, good, I'm going to hear Birchas Kahanim here. You know, they're going to do Birchas Kahanim, right? But whoever gets does this thing. So he has a truth if you know how to do that. You know, everybody's Knesset should have its flavor. It's a minhag makom. So even though there's no issue really, but it's ain't enough and it's not proper. This is the minhag of the shul. Everybody should follow the minhag of the shul. There's such a concept. But then he goes into this shaila. He goes to shalos. Okay, so should you wear tefillin? Should you not wear tefillin? So he says something fascinating here. He says that even though in the all Bnei Ashkenaz the minhag was to wear tefillin, but all of a sudden comes along the guy and says, you don't wear tefillin. How do you do that? So he says, first of all, he says like this. He says, the halacha is like this. It's interesting to know. You know, people ask shilas. What could he ask a shilah? What can? Let's say a Sephardi guy goes to an Ashkenaz guy and asks him, say, am I allowed to eat kidneys on Pesach? So the Ashkenaz guy goes, no chance. You know. What kind of psak is that? He's a Sephardi and you're an Ashkenazi, right? You got to know where you're coming from. So this is what he says. So he says, but if there's a machlokes, a big machlokes, you know, from the previous generations, and you go to the Chacham Meir, you go to the Rav of the city, and you ask him for a psak, he's allowed to pass him like one, and the city goes like that psak, even though it's an old machlokes, but you're allowed to follow psak. You don't have to be machmer like Bolshitas. No, I'm going to be machmer by like Bolshitas. You don't have to. You can follow the psak of the Rav. But that's only if it's if it's a machlokes and there's a right to go. There's a right to be a psak. You can have a psak in that. But he says if you're Ashkenaz do like Sfardim that doesn't make sense. You got to if there's a minhag, you can't just change what your minhag is because the Chacham decides to pass like the Sfardim. Today I'm going to pass like the Sfardim. You can't do that. So he says, what happened over here? You have the Bnei Ashkenaz, they all put on tefillin. So he says that Hagrab and Vilna argued on them. The scheme of Kol Chachmei Doiroi, all the Chacham in the generation of the Goyim were masking, so much Feinstein speaking, Shu Gadol B'Yosef Kol Chachmei Doiroi, that he was greater than anybody in his generation. Shu G'dol Chol Moed. And the Goyim was much greater than many generations before him. And therefore he was right to argue even on Chachamim from generations before. So therefore, even though that he was a little bit late in the game here, he was a few generations after Ramah, but still, you could paskin halacha k'moisei. There are a few people that you are able to paskin halacha k'moisei, even though they're going a little bit against the flow. And therefore there was schil lina k'moisei. There were many people that noig like the guy in his time, the chol davi, even though it was connected to minig. So he says there was such a possibility. And he's ma'arich on that. So he says, now not everybody accepted the guy's minhag, because in many places Ashkenaz they still put on tefillin, but it became a valid minhag. So you'll have to follow the minhag agra. Now, he paskins over here that so a person's allowed to go with the goyin, but he still says, and then he brings the Baal Shem Tov also. Those that held like the Baal Shem Tov, they also didn't put on tefillin because they went after the Zoyer's desire. The Baal Shem Tov followed the Zoyer, so there was they had a different avenue why they were allowed to go connect the minhag a little bit. Well, nobody agrees with that, but that's what they did. So at the end of the day, since there's two schools of thought here and two minhagim that already came into Klal Yisrael, which changed a little the minhag of Ashkenaz, therefore he says a person is allowed to do one even though everyone does the other one. There's no issue of lois skoy to do. That's what he says. So, but he says the Shliach Tzibur for sure should be makbid to do whatever the Beis HaKnesses does. It's a part of the shul because the Shliach Tzibur has to do for sure what the Beis HaKnesses does. But he says the person on the side, it's not usher, but he says it's still proper l'chatchila that he should do. And the Maisa is the Rabbi Mordechai Scheiner himself. He held like the Goin, and he didn't put on Tefillin Chol Moed. But since the yeshiva that he ran, yeshiva's MTJ, right, in the side, so they went with Minhag Ashkenaz and they wore Tefillin. So all the years that he was davening there in the yeshiva, whenever he davened in the yeshiva, which is most of the time, he put on Tefillin because he held that if that's the Minhag HaMakom, he was going to put on Tefillin, even though he really went like the guy that he also was near Tefillin on Chol Moed.
Did he say a bracha?
He didn't make a bracha. He didn't make a bracha, but he put on Tefillin. So just a little background there. So what the proper thing to do is what most people do today is either you do what the shul does or you make some sort of mechitza we make on the side that it's behind the mechitza, so it's not mamish, here we don't put on tefillin behind the mechitza. When he wants to put on tefillin, puts on tefillin behind the mechitza.
Why behind the mechitza?
It's like a separate room.
Why would you? Is that just to?
He says it's not proper that in the shul they can have their own minyan. They can make their own minyan. So it's like their own. It's not their own minyan, but it's a separate.
Was there a time in history? I don't know how far back when people were tefillin all day long.
Yeah, sure.
So when did that stop?
So the tefillin. What happened with tefillin all day long? So there's actually Gemara that they wore tefillin with the lulav. There's a riot that they wore tefillin Chol Moed, but they wore tefillin all day long. So people used to, in the Gemara they used to wear, in the times of the Gemara they wore tefillin all day long. That's clear. And what? Not on Shabbos, but what? Yeah.
Everybody did, or maybe those the bottom are learning, or like just everyone did.
People that are going to work. That's the Shabbos. There was a time. Ikra did. Everybody's supposed to wear tefillin the whole day, but.
This is in Babel, or
this is when did everybody, even the Balabatim, wear tefillin all day? I'm not sure at what point that stopped. But what is clear is that there's a halach in tefillin that you have to have a guf naki. You have to have a guf naki, and also a person has to have his mind on the tefillin the whole day. The halach in al be masiach tas min tefillin. Now I'll take your mind off the tefillin. That's halach. So what happens is like this. So what happens is that we're not holding by that anymore. We're here. That's why there's a mitzvah on tefillin, l'mashmish tefillin. No, people touch their tefillin. There's a mitzvah, l'mashmish tefillin. Some Yishanim hold you can even make a bracha when you do that. There's a mitzvah, why? To make sure you're still thinking about your tefillin. So it says, Salach Shulchan Chayvan l'mashmish tefillin b'chol shah, shal yisiach daitim mehem. So you're not taking your mind off the tefillin. So what happens is like this: that today we can't do that. Most people, the average person, cannot have his mind on the tefillin the whole day.
Talking about during davening.
Well, it's talking about during davening. So what's during davening? What's during davening is like this: that the halacha is interesting. That if a person's at least thinking about davening, so that's as if he's not masiach tas min tefillin. Because davening is meaning tefillin. Learning and davening, the person has his mind on the learning and davening, he doesn't have to say, wait, my tefillin's on. That's considered having das on his tefillin. But if he's not learning and davening, it's not like he's having his mind on tefillin. Therefore, we are very makbid not to wear tefillin when a person's not davening and learning. We're very makbid not to. So some people wear tefillin when they're learning in the morning, a couple of hours or so. But you have that issue that he has to really make sure he's learning. And by davening also he has to make sure he's davening, and two, he has to have a guf naki. And we're not so careful. We're letting out gas, having a guf naki is hard. And therefore, the minhag is, what?
Is there a problem with letting out gas?
Yeah, not allowed. Yeah. So therefore, it's we're very makbid the other way, that anyone that doesn't have a chiyuv to wear tefillin, we don't allow. For example, a cotton. A cotton is a mitzvah chinuch, like all other mitzvahs. We start a kid doing chinuch when 6, 7, 8 years old, whatever age. But tefillin, we don't allow till his bar mitzvah, maybe a month before, 3 months before someone hugger. But beyond that, we don't allow him to wear tefillin. Because if he's not forced to wear tefillin, we don't let him put it on. Because tefillin has a kedusha, and we don't want to defile that kedusha. And this is why the whole women's thing, we don't allow women to wear tefillin. They don't have a chiyuv. They don't have a chiyuv. We don't put on. It's hard enough that we have to wear it. So we have to wear it during davening. We have a chiyuv, so we only put it on the amount of time that's necessary. There are gedolim that wear tefillin longer, but they're very rare and a few. In the old city, there's the Zolbergs, they wear tefillin longer. Okay, I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying that the reason why we don't wear tefillin is because a person has to have his mind on the tefillin proper, and it's difficult, and therefore we put it on, we make the bracha, and we take it off. Chalitzas tefillin could be also a shtickle of mitzvah, because you're watching the kedushas tefillin. So that's why it stopped. As generations went on, in the time we had the Beis Hamikdash and in Eretz Yisrael, it was much easier for us to connect. It was much easier to connect with Rebbeinu Shalom, so you were able to wear tefillin longer. Now it's harder. That's the way it is. It's much harder. People are busy with sorrows and things.
What about somebody who spends their day learning, though? You would think that they would be in a better
hope
situation.
that they'd be able to, but unfortunately, all men are created equal.
It's not encouraging.
By Litva Shiloh, we don't wear tefillin unless it's necessary. And an hour after davening, a little bit after davening, you learn a little bit. That's fine. But the whole day we don't do it because we're very marked with gufnaki, these things.
And when people did wear it, so
I want to tell you something. The Sat Jul wouldn't daven until late. You know why? Because he wanted to make sure he had a gufnaki before davening. And he would go to the extreme until he started davening. And a lot of Hasidim, that daven late.
That's why you go to mikvah.
Yeah, could be, yeah. But they would be very makbid on these things, So, as long as they're mechavan liba l'shamayim, as long as they're doing it for the right reasons. But so that's why we don't put on tefillin more than the necessary amount. Now, this causes an issue nowadays, of course, when davening very early. Well, actually, I should say the day starts very late. Day starts very late, and we don't wear tefillin at night. Why don't we wear tefillin at night? So it's machlokes gemara, either because Laila allows not tefillin, it's not the time of tefillin. The only mitzvah tefillin is b'yoyim, or, which could be the halacha l'maisa, is that really technically you can wear tefillin in the day, at night. The reason why we don't is because you might fall asleep. You might let out gas. You're not going to have a gufnaki. You're not going to have your machshava. So the reason why we don't wear tefillin at night is you're not allowed to wear tefillin at night. It's not because medaraisa you're not allowed to, but rather because the chacham mochayshish that you won't keep proper care. So therefore, we don't put on tefillin until the shear of mishiyaker. Mishiyaker is enough daylight that we're not chayshish is going to fall back asleep. Doesn't work when I hit my snooze button in the morning. but Chazal decided that the time Mashiach is light enough, you can recognize your friend, that now you're up. Now you're up.
You make a bracha.
Oh, so this is where the shaila comes in. I let him make a bracha. Halacha l'maisa, we don't make a bracha at night.
Let's say next day you have an operation.
Yeah. Let's say you can't. Let's say there's a guy that can't, he's not going to be able to wear the tefillin in the day. He's allowed to put it on the tefillin at night and make a bracha. And this is a very good shaila in the poskim. It's a very big shiloh. That what do you do if a guy says a halacha here that a guy that's going l'derech and he can't the guy's not going to be able to, as far as here. If a guy's going on the derech, yeah. So, also, that's what we pass. Not allowed to wear tefillin at night, you might forget and sleep on it. If you put it, okay, let's go with that one. He writes the lectures for derech lashkam. He wanted to get out early in the morning. He's traveling. So Zaloch is, you put it on. He can't put it on later, so he puts it on earlier. And when it comes to Zman Tefillin, he mashmash his Tefillin and he makes the bracha. Now, why is he allowed to do that? Why is he allowed to put on? We said you're not allowed to put on tefillin at night. Why is this guy allowed to put it on earlier? So the Mechaber says the reason is, Kivan Shehishkim, since he got up early to go travel, but Yotzel Derech was already going on this road, we're not quite sure he's going to fall asleep. Now the Mishabur says, what's the pshat in that? He says, V'dafka hoylach, it's only if he's walking. It's Moed and Tefillin. It's only if he's walking. In the old days they walked when they went on the way, So then, or he's riding a horse or something, he's not going to fall asleep. If he's sitting in a wagon, he may fall asleep. So therefore he's not allowed to put on the tefillin early. The only time he's allowed to put on tefillin before it's the morning is if he's hoylach l'derech, he's walking or he's riding his pony or something. So he's not going to fall asleep after he puts it on. He's ready yotzel l'derech. Therefore there's a heter for him to put it on. Still he shouldn't make the bracha until it gets light, but there's a heter for him to put it on. But if he's traveling in a wagon, we're sitting, then the Mishnah says, and he can't put it on because he still might fall asleep.
So if you're davening and during Chazar to Shas you take a little dremel for 10 seconds, that's a big no-no?
What?
You're davening.
And you fall asleep.
I didn't say sleep, a little dremel.
Yeah. So that's not a no-no. Misnamnim is not called a heschadas. It's not called you take your mind off. It's very interesting. Falling asleep is not called taking your mind off the tefillin. You have to know why it's a shalom v'shayin.
It means like a lengthy...
Stomach, you have good dreams about your tefillin. But the falling asleep is not called. But the chashash is you may let out gas in these things. So that's why we don't want a guy to fall asleep. So Bialacha says, well, that Terezav and the Primagodim are mitzaded to say that even in a wagon maybe it's mutter. So he says, the Bialacha says, if you're afraid, if you don't put it on earlier, it might get lost, or you're traveling, the phone might get lost if you're not wearing it, or something like that. So then you can be makel to put it on earlier. Fine. There is a shaila if a guy's not going to wear tefillin in the day, if he should put it on at night. I saw the shaila brought down, if he's not going to be able to at all, let's say he has an operation or something, he's not going to be able to wear it at all, and they should put it at night. For Maisa, we're not knowing to do that. We don't put it on for these reasons. But Rabbi Moshe has a tshuva. Rabbi Moshe says that the guy's going to work and he's going to be finished davening before Mishiyaker. Well, he's finished davening, he has to go leave early. He has to be out of the. He has to be on the train by 6:30, and Mishiyaker maybe will be later. So then, what should he do? So what? He can't. He can't. So Rabbi Moshe says he should put it on earlier with a bracha, and he's medamet to this guy that's yotzel l'derech. It's a chiddush. He says he could put it on earlier and make a bracha because he's medamet once he woke up and he's up and he's already he's on the way. He's just davening first, so he says he's going to fall asleep. It's a big chiddush because he's not walking. It's like he's sitting down. He sits down in a comfortable chair and shul. He may fall asleep, but. Moshe says, and the minhag in New York was always to follow that. They went to daven and it was pitch black outside. In the old days they had to get out early, and it was pitch black, and they would put on tefillin and make a bracha, and then take it off. It was still before Mishiyaker, and then they would go to work. The person don't like it, but the minhag over there was with the bracha, and then they would go to work. After Alois you could daven. After Alois could be an hour and a half before Nets. So after Alois could even be earlier, sometimes up to 2 hours before Nets. So Alois could be very early. The Zman Alois that they give over here is the second Alois, which could be the real Alois is really much earlier. We spoke about this once. So Alois really could be a lot earlier. So halacha ma'aseh avada a person should do is at least, if they could put on tefillin after Mishiyaker, that's the best. But if they can't, they're not going to have enough time to put on the tefillin between Baruch Shama and between Yishtabach and the things. You could put it on earlier, and the best time to make a bracha would be after Yishtabach, if be Mashmash in the tefillin, if there's time, if that'll be after Mishiyaker. If not, the Moshe holds you can make the bracha earlier and put it on.
What did you do about talis?
Talis is a little bit a bigger issue. Talis is a bigger issue. Tefillin you're not going to be able to wear later, but at least you can wear talis cotton. You can wear tzitzis. You could wear. So L'maisa they used to put on the talis also. I don't know if they made a bracha. Moshe's talis is a bigger issue, making a bracha.
So they would make it on their
talis cotton you can make later. Yeah, you can make on talis cotton later. So yeah.
If it's Asr Gemara Tefillin on Shabbos, so would they be Muksa then?
So Shabbos Tefillin is Muksa. Shabbos Tefillin Muksa on Shabbos. So it says over here, it's whole Shabbos Tefillin is Muksa. It says over here, Rafil Batiltul Yesham Gamkein Aser, if not what's a Kufar and Mekaimim. So if you need a place, then you're allowed to move it. Or you need the Tefillin itself, which is rear, you'd be allowed to move it. The Yeshayim exam that if it shouldn't fall, you're afraid it's going to fall off the shelf, it's hanging on the edge. You also, or it shouldn't be stolen, you're also allowed to move it. And Mokam Matchak, you have no other way, you should, what you really should do is, you should move it al yedei davaracher, take something else and move it, so push it back in a spot if you could. Or use your elbow and move it back into its spot. That's a shiloh if the tefillin is muksa. Okay, so there's some shalos that come as Mishiyaka is very unclear when the Zman is actually, we spoke about that also, because the real first of all, I have to know when it is. It's very unclear in the Parskim when it is. The two Zmanim on the Luach are 50 minutes and 60 minutes. The Moshe holds only 35 minutes before that. But the real shaila is it a set time, or is it each place? In other words, let's say it's light outside because of the reflecting of the the molecules. It's a humid day, so it reflects the light. Or it's snow outside, it reflects the light. So now Mashiach is earlier. But let's say it's very cloudy and there's no light, so Mashiach could be later. So does it go in the Lamaisa that you see, or does it go a set time? That's all Shaila and Nachronim. So the Moshe seems to goes Lamaisa, which can make it much later than the real time. And the Yerabah seems to hold it goes Lamaisa, but the Luach, the minig is always to go, there's a set time to try to find the coolest to be able to daven. We have to be able to daven early. So we all went in a set time. That was a Shaila. The other Shaila that comes up, first of all, it's a place to put the tefillin. I read the tefillin on the arm and on the Rosh. The Will of the Gemara says there's a place, there's Mokum Yesh B'Shal Rosh, to wear two pairs of tefillin. If you see some of the Iranian Jews, they actually wear two pairs of tefillin. They wear Rashi and Rabbi Natam on the head at the same time. What? The big boy wears it, yeah, on the head at the same time. We don't do that.
They're usually quite small, aren't they?
What?
They're pretty small, aren't they?
They're small, yeah. Tefillin really could be smaller than the ones we have. Shalos have small, but they could be smaller. And there's a place on the Shalosh to wear two. And on the Shal, yeah, there's a place to put two pairs of tefillin. If you have this huge pair of tefillin, obviously not that place. But there's a place to put two. We don't do both at the same time. It's a Shaila of a steer, to do both. So we do one after, those who wear the Meratam, by us do one after the next. But that's how we do. But there's a place on the Shalosh on there to wear two pairs of tefillin. So the problem is, a lot of some, especially Rabbi Babachis, I don't know where this came from, but they wear these huge pairs of tefillin. And Al Piraiv, they're hanging over the space. It has to be from the hairline, or where the hairline's supposed to be.
And they're wearing two at the same time? I thought it's one.
No.
What? They're not wearing two at the same time.
The bottom are so big.
Oh, I see, because they're so big.
They're very big. So they wear very big tefillin. It's a real problem if it's not fully on the head. There's a place for tefillin. It could fit. A big film could fit there, but they have to be very makbid that it should be in the right spot, because the person's not wearing it in the right spot. It's as if he's not wearing tefillin. If you put tefillin in the wrong place, you're not putting it on. It has to be fully in the right spot. So that's a real issue.
Is that a problem if they're really large tefillin?
The real large tefillin, so they're hanging down. They're not on the spot. Even the regular sized tefillins, they have to be marked, but that it should be high enough. People put it too low. It has to be high enough. So especially the big tefillin is a real issue. It's a real issue. They get in the right spot. They have to be very careful. The small tefillins are obviously easier. The challenge with smaller tefillin is you have to make sure that the ksav is good. Sometimes very small, some not written so clearly. Okay, but there are good from out there. But that's the thing. So the shah is to put on the right spot. Now, on the arm also, the right spot is the chatchila between the elbow and the thing is halfway and below, but there should be about 2 fingers between the bend, because that's where the muscles really goes until the beginning of the muscle. Until the beginning of the muscle. It's called the tapuach, the bubble. So the muscle doesn't go all the way to the end. The muscle only goes almost to the end. It's about 2 fingers away. So the tefillin shouldn't be all the way down. It should be a little bit up, but on the lower half. Now there are some that hold the going that held that the tefillin is kosher even on the upper half. So this is negaya, first of all, on a bar mitzvah boy, which has a very small arm. And if you have a large pair of tefillin, a small arm, it's very hard to get it on the spot. So obviously it should be, it shouldn't be below the muscle. Is you're not yotze. It's too low down. So it has to be on the muscle. And if you have to go over the half, so you have to go over the half. The upper half is kosher, but the Yevid, you go there. But Chatchila should be in the lower half. What's relevant is if later someone has bandages or cast, or even worse, if he's missing part of his arm, and you have all these shilas where to put on the tefillin. Obviously, a shilah should be asked in each case. But just for the more common cases here, if a guy has a bandage, stitches, he has a bandage, so you can't have a chatzitza, you can't have a block between the tefillin and your skin. Sai on the shal rosh, and sai on the shal yad. You shouldn't have anything in between. So what does that mean? So me'ikra din, that just means on the tefillin itself. In other words, there's the tefillin and then there's the straps. So the tefillin itself shouldn't have anything between the tefillin and the thing. The straps also shouldn't have. There's 2 parts of the straps. There's a tie itself, where you tighten it. That's the first wrap around. That for sure shouldn't have anything in between. And then there's the rest of the straps. L'chatchila, there should be nothing in between, period. No watches, nothing should be in between. But mikra din, it's only the tefillin that has to be nothing in between. So if a guy has a bandage or anything, so he can put it on.
What about rings?
It shouldn't be in between the tefillin. Nothing should be in between the tefillin. There's nothing wrong, you could take it off. But if the guy has a bandage or something which you can't take off, so there's ikra din, there's no issue as long as it's not under the tefillin itself. So under the tefillin, then you run into a problem. So one should try to have the tefillin for sure not on top of the bandage, and even the first strap around, one should be very makbid. It should be not under the. It should be around the bandage, not over it. If you can't, then that part could be over the bandage. Could be over the bandage, but the tefillin itself shouldn't. If a guy can't, he has no choice. He can't. What's he supposed to do? His arm is bandaged. He can't take it off. So then he could put on. Mishavu says he should put it on top of the bandage because you have a shitas or rashba that it's kosher on the bandage. It's both the tuffle to the scuff. You should put it on top of the bandage.
If a guy's got a cast on his arm,
yeah, cast.
Can he put it on the other arm?
Oh, so you shouldn't put it on the other arm. You should put it on the upper. Usually, cast doesn't go all the way up to the top.
Yeah.
So you should put it on the upper half. That's what I was saying. But the having the upper half is better than on the other arm. So you should put it on the upper half. Now he says like this. That. He has a feel so if he should just put it on without making a bracha. But if you could put the tefillin on a place where there's no bandages, and even if he's wrapping it around, even the first tie on a bandage, you can make a bracha. But it should be makbid, and Mishavur says to cover it with your sleeve afterwards. Because one of the reasons it should be directly on your arm, it says to you it should be an ice and not to others. So that's why it has to be on you and it can be covered. So therefore, if it's not mamash on you, if there's a bandage in between, it should be makbid to cover it on top with the sleeve. That's what the Mishnah says. That's the halacha. You have some people that wear toupees or whatever they call it. I don't know what they wear on the fake hair.
Oh, like a wig.
Like a wig. Yeah. People wear it. So it's a chatzitza. You can't wear that with the tefillin. So what a lot of them do is they don't want to take it off in shul, so they'll put it on in shul without a bracha, and at home they'll put it on with a bracha. They'll take it off and put it on with a bracha because it's a chatzitza. You can't have a chatzitza at a place where the tefillin is on.
So what about on your arm? Does it matter where? Can it be like a little bit on? Should be a little bit.
It should be a little bit towards the inside, a little bit towards the inside. Now, what happens like this, sometimes you don't have your pair of tefillin, whatever the reason is, so you get the shul pair of tefillin. So what happens is, you wear, let's say, Ashkenaz and the shul is Sfard, or you wear Sfard and the shul is Ashkenaz. So it's a different way of tying it. You tie them this side, you tie them this side. It doesn't matter. Both ways are kosher, and you should just tie it the way they do it. You shouldn't flip over the tefillin and put it the other way. Because then what happens is the yud should be closer to the body. The yud shouldn't be on the other side. I want to wrap it the way I usually wrap it, so you shouldn't do that. The only time you flip it over is if, let's say, a lefty comes, and you can only find a righty's pair of tefillin. So there you should flip it over, so the yud should be on his side. If you want the yud to be on your side, so then you can flip over the tefillin and do it.
Same thing with the strap. You can't reverse the strap by trying to loop it to reverse it. Right?
You could if you take it out and put it in, but most people don't know how to do it. Just leave it the way it is and wrap it. There's nothing wrong. That should be done. That's how they put on tefillin. Also, and one interesting thing that's been going around recently, a lot of as we get more professional in making tefillin, so a lot of new chumras that they never had come out. They're not really chumras. It's just very difficult to make a pair of tefillin. It's very hard. In the old days, they didn't have the proper machinery. It was very difficult to get a properly squared pair of tefillin. So today, nobody would wear the tefillins that they had years ago. Nobody would wear it. But now it's so professional in that, so now all the halachas are much more easy to keep. For example, one of the halachas that came up now is you're not supposed to have between the shalosh, there's 4 compartments. So there really is not supposed to be, it should be that you should be able to stick a paper in between. Sometimes you can't because of the paint and everything. Even if there's a little glue, the problem is that the tefillin opens up if you don't, so they glue it together to keep it tight. So a lot of times that glue they could put together could cause problems in halacha that it's not considered separated. So now they're much more professional, they know how to do things, that it should be, it should stay, even though it doesn't really have glue in between. So that's another thing they're able to do. That's one thing. But okay, so there to that. But there's another thing that came out. What happens is when they make the ritzuas, we put black ink on the tefillin. This is very important to know. The tefillin itself should be black also, but it's not ma'akiv. If it rubs out, it's fine. But the ritzuas have to be black. The up at the top has to be black. And if it rubs out, many times it can make it possible. Depending on where it is, how much it is, and what part. But that could cause a big issue. It's halacha l'mashim sini ritzuas have to be black. The tefillin itself don't have to be black. If it rubs out the black, it's okay. But the tefillin has to be black. I'm sorry, the ritzuas have to be black.
On both sides?
No, just
right.
the top.
I'm noticing now there's also
now
blue
they started making on both sides, and I'll
Both
explain
sides,
where this
that's
comes from. So what happens is like this. Leather is not a leather has grain, right? And by the real leather things, the more the grain shows, the more chashuv it is. This ritzuas that we have, you show it to a guy who makes leather stuff. Look at it, this is junk, because it's smooth and you don't see anything. The reason why we do it like that is because we want it to stay. We want it to have a shine, finished look. You don't want it to sink into the leather and then it could fall apart. But in the reality, in the people that make leather, it's cheap. It's less chashuv. The chashuv is to have that the grains of the leather show. Leather is not something which is equal all over. If you paint it, you can have some darker spots. Let's say you have a wallet of real leather, so the grain shows. So you have some parts that are darker, some are lighter, some are more glossy finish, some are less, because that's how the nature of leather is. So what happens is like this. What happens is when they make tefillin, they actually coat it. They coat the ritzua with some kind of plasticky solution that sort of fills in the holes, and then they paint it on top so the paint stays on top. That's what they do. Now what happens is it became a big machlokes whether you could do it. Mishmur actually talks about this a little bit as a Chuvas Neid Yehuda. Sometimes the plastic cover is actually quite thick, and if you get it good, you could peel some of it off. You could start peeling it off. And if you peel it off, it's the whole machlokes, the Neid Yehuda with the Nishmas Adam and others, whether it's actually kosher or not. Because the tefillin have to be painted, not the plastic. A shalos, you could coat it with plastic to begin with. All the shalos, these are the shalos they get in. So, if it's a very thin coating that doesn't really become a piece by itself that you can peel off, so it seems that minhag with that's okay. But there are a lot of ritzuas going around, especially today. There's a lot of ritzuas, and they base it on Rav Vozhner, and he says he never was matur. But you know how things go. So a lot of ritzuas going around where it actually could be peeled off the top. I don't know if you know what you're doing, and therefore there could be a shaila on the ritzuas. So what happened was like this: for this reason and for another reason, actually, as ritzuas go, they start chipping and peeling, and then it becomes not black, and they have to keep on painting it again. So they came up with this new idea of making through and through black ritzuas, where it actually goes through to the end, through and through black. Now, there's a Rambam. There's a Rambam that maybe holds that you're supposed to have black on both sides. So Shiloh had to learn the Rambam. And there's a Chuvas Radvas that says the Rambam and all like that. And it's a very, we call in the Jewish world, a bitter machlokes. The bitter machlokes goes like this, and this is in all areas you have the same machlokes. You find the shita that's machmir that says you should have black on both sides. And the minig of Klaisel is always to have black on one side, not the other side. So, do we say, I'm going to do better than the minig, because there's a shita out there? Or do you say, no, this is the way we do it? So there are those that Mishmaifim will not buy black tefillin through and through. Because they'll say, Klaisel always wore one side black tefillin, not the other side, and therefore you're not going to change it just because you found the shita that holds the other way. The others will say, okay, it's not the end of the world, so you have black on both sides. So, there are people that bought one, then cut it off and put on the other one. This is how it went. But the mile of the black and black, I don't have black and black, but I got my last son, it has these two miles. The one mile it has is that, just practical miles, I'm not talking about halachic miles, practical miles that if it chips, it remains black. So you don't have the problem that you're not yotzeh. The other mile it has is that even if they put a coating on it, but underneath the coating it's also black. So according to many shittas, that even though you have this problem that a lot of the ritzuas are coated with plastic, but it doesn't take away the kashrus of the tefillin because underneath it's black. So it has these two milos, which is a real milo. It's Hatsheni. There are those that I went to Lakewood to get I needed a new ritzuas, and I was there, so I went to a safer there. So I asked him, "We have black mic?" He says, "No, we won't sell it." So I got the regular. So I'm just saying that there is you have this dynamic with the black on black, but the mile of it is practical milo. It does help. It's at halacha. Star avada the kosher without it, and they don't need it, and there's a reason for it. But one has to make sure when you buy ritzuas today, who you're getting it from. If the sefer is a Shemayim and he knows where it's coming from and what it is, because there are a lot on the market that are not done according to the Chachamim today, because they overly coat it, and it's easier to make a cheaper pair than a good pair. So therefore, whenever you buy tefillin, you have to make sure you know who you're buying from, and he understands the halachas and knows where he's getting it from. Because unfortunately, there are many people out there selling that, like the Mishpur writes very clearly, that you don't know anything what could be out there. If the guy who wrote it, did he go back and fix up a letter after it was already written? You don't know what's in there. A guy bought a pair of tefillin, and one was Nusach Hari, and the other one Shalosh, and the Shayad was a regular Nusach. You don't know what's going on out there. You're just buying a pair of tefillin. So you got to make sure the guy who's buying it is Yerushalayim, and that he's going to look out for you, and he knows what to look out for. He knows the halachas, because you wear it all your life. So you want to make sure that the mitzvah you do it every day is a good mitzvah. So you pay an extra $100. It's worth it. Your whole life you said a mitzvah. You know what I mean? The guy came to me and he bought a pair of tefillin. In this case, one was Ashka, one was Avina. I said, I don't understand how this happened. And then I asked him how much you paid for it. So he told me how much you paid for it. He says, now I understand. You get what you pay for. So you have to be careful. It's not a heter for the guy to sell it to him. I'm just saying that you get what you pay for, like a car. You get what you pay for. So it's the same thing. You get what you pay for. But a guy could overcharge you also because he wants to make money. So you have to know the guy who's selling that is a Shemaim. He knows, because there's a lot of halachas, the halachas tefillin, and it's long on that details how to make it and what, and you want to make sure you get it. And then Hanami, they say a Maisa. Alzheimer's was everyone was waiting. To say a Maisa, the Baron, when when he's running away from the war, he had to travel between, I think, Poland and Rosh. I don't know where he traveled between, and he left his tefillin. Or somehow he didn't have his tefillin, so he had to go back across the border to get his tefillin. He went back, so he stayed in an old man's house. And that old man I forget how the story goes, but he put on the Baron's tefillin. And they came to him in a dream years later and told him that he was Mazakim with Chaya and Mabot to wear tefillin because the tefillin that he had wasn't kosher. The tefillin that he got coming around was kosher for tefillin. So he was Mazakim that he wasn't a person that didn't wear tefillin his whole life. He wore a pair of tefillin. You never know, you want to make sure that you have a good pair.